Welcome to Windows 2003 Server End of Life and Security Best Practices, presented by US Computer Connection. Windows Server 2003 End of Life is quickly approaching us. So what does this mean for you? Well, similar, when Windows XP ended, they stopped providing security patches and it leaves you vulnerable. So there's no more technical support or no more updates provided by the vendor on this. Using unsupported software may increase the risk of viruses, and it creates a gaping hole in your network. So let's look at how the more prevalent attacks happen. In the wake of recent data breaches and so forth, we thought this was a good way to educate the small to mid-sized business community on things that they should be aware of. And these things include running outdated operating system applications, like in this case Windows Server 2003. Other tactics include spoofing and phishing, malware and malvertising, something called brute force login attempts, and ransomware. So it's very important to stay on top of your patches. For one, this is a pathway into your network if it's not implemented and you're not currently using a policy that will keep you ahead of the curve here. So in this case, Microsoft releases security patches weekly. And just so you know, US Computer Connection employs Patch Thursdays, where we roll out patches to all the machines on our network. Other ways that attacks happen is something called spoofing and phishing. Spoofing is when your spammer sends out emails using your email address or imitates a legitimate site. While it may appear that it's your email address, it's really not. So in this case, we have irs.gov and target.com. While it appears that those are links to those sources, they actually take you to other sources. And anyone who can use hyperlinks knows how to manipulate the text versus the actual destination. Other common topics and ways that spoofing and phishing occur is through online dating, Facebook, gift card vouchers. PayPal is notorious from a historical standpoint on spoofing and phishing. Online product purchases, attached photos, and more recently shipping invoices that are spread within the organization. So it's very important to be aware of the sender, the links, and the content of the email you're opening. A good way to look at this is to do something called SAFE. Stop, analyze, forward, or escalate. And in this case, you could forward or escalate this to us, and we could further analyze it. So according to Dilbert, we're going to look at why phishing scams keep working. So in this case, Dilbert sees an email, and the email asks him to enter his bank account. He sees it as a scam. Great. He's with it. He's alert. The next employee sees the same email. She sees it as a scam. The manager now sees the same email because it was deployed to the entire staff, unbeknownst to them. And what does he do? He enters in his bank account information. So in this case, you had two line managers who are aware and suspectful, but the senior manager goes ahead and implements the number, therefore providing this information to an external source. Let's talk about spoofing. So just like the example we just saw, here's a spoofed email from Walmart. While it appears to be a legitimate communication, there are certain inconsistencies that you should be aware of. Look at the branding on the email. Look at the content of the email. You know, they thought that you were buying a TV and you're really not. So you really have to look at the message, the source, and the destination links within the email. Within Outlook, there's a way to check the message header and to see the source. Now, spoofing is a way to fool us, so it's important to review these sorts of tactics and use them on your own so that you can feel more comfortable that you're doing your part and being a safe internet user. And remember, safe. Stop, analyze, forward, or escalate. Another way how attacks happen is through malware and malvertising. Malware is used to disrupt computer operation and gather sensitive information, which gives way for thieves to get into your private computer systems and your data. Malvertising can happen in two ways. You click a pop-up or a warning message that appears legitimate because you're running Adobe Flash and it looks like everything is okay there. However, it's prompting you to click to an external non-Adobe site where you will be prompted to download something. And it may even happen automatically if you're not looking and aware of what's going on your screen. In either scenario, the computer gets infected via flaws in the common browser plugins, like Flash in this case, or even Java. Toolbars are also notorious for this, as well as illicit programs and the browsers themselves. So you really have to pay attention and be alert to what's going on. Here are some examples of malvertising. No one seems to be impermeable to this, so we have to be educated and we have to be aware. They're infecting Facebook, they're getting into the New York Times, they're getting into some of the largest conglomerates in the world, and we're only going to see the proliferation of this move forward as they learn how to harness and create more ways to fool us. A more recent tactic is a brute force login attempts. So before we get into that, we wanted to show you a spotlight on what really not to do.
About cybersecurity today and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon.
And what's its name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where'd you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School.
Oh, when did you graduate?
In 2009.
Oh, great.
It's like my cat's name and then just like a random number.
Okay. Have you had this cat for a while?
Yeah, she's my childhood pet.
Aw. And what's her name?
Her name is Jolie.
Jolie. So like a password of yours would be Jolie and then a number.
Yeah.
Like number 1?
Like my birthday.
Oh, when is your birthday?
June 12th.
Oh, nice. And what year were you born?
95.
Oh, great. So Jolie, 6, 12, 95. Got it.
So we thank the folks at Jimmy Kimmel Live for being able to share this. But you do not want to be them, so please be aware of the type of information you're being asked for or prompted for. It could occur in a telephone call or it could occur in an email. But in this example, these individuals are giving their information away which is going to be broadcasted to millions of people. Let's get back to brute force. So a brute force attack is a way for a computer to determine every secret password by putting every permutation of a password combination together. So it's an automated program that will super target your password and attempt to make every possible combination until they get it. A dictionary attack is a guessing attack where they use a precompiled list of options. Unlike a brute force, rather than trying every option, they only try to complete options which are likely to work. Here's a list of some of the most common passwords. Now, don't be surprised if you see yours on there, but the point is to be aware that the thieves know this as well. So here's some interesting data. 30% have a password from the top 10,000 passwords, some that are beyond the screen right here. So we're really looking for you to be educated. What we want you to do, we don't want you to share your password, and don't save it in the browser. And if you do, make sure you clear it out immediately. Don't keep your password written anywhere or on a post-it or on a keyboard or as a file on your phone. Password protect your mobile or tablet device. And remember, passwords are like underwear. Gotta keep them clean and you gotta change them. So what makes a password strong? Well, 8 characters. Don't use your name, real name, or business name. Don't use a complete word. Make it completely different from historical passwords. Use a combination of upper and lowercase letters using numbers and symbols. And use a mnemonic device to help you remember. We have a lot of passwords and there's a lot of logins, so we want to be aware of this. So there's password managers that can help you harness this and use these passwords in a succinct, efficient manner. Ransomware. So let's look at CryptoWall in this case. It infects computers, encrypts the files on your network, and it will then blackmail you to get access to them. So what can you do? Well, best practices would include don't run your own updates. That's what we do. It could be a virus. We have Patch Thursdays, so keep your computers on and we do it for you. Also, hover over a hyperlink. It will reveal where it's going. Don't open or respond to emails even if you aren't positive where they came from. Stay away from free software. There's a reason they're free. And importantly, save your important files on the server and implement a password manager that uses a 2-factor or 2-step authentication process. We want you to be a part of our conversation. We're going to continue to educate and put these sorts of events together. So we want to let you know where we're talking about things and what. So if you could like us, that would help us keep you in the loop of the fun things we talk about, the events like this, and tips that will help keep you as a more safe internet user. We post thought leadership and white papers on LinkedIn. We have a blog where we're talking about trends, critical alert, training, videos, anything that's in your world that you should be concerned about. We have a YouTube channel, a Twitter handle, and we're excited because we're in the news. Recently, our president, Gary Feldman, Stanford computer expert, is helping shape a public-private partnership with House representatives. He's helping create a best-in-class program that will help address this for all of us. So what's next? Well, for one, those who are running Microsoft Windows Server 2003, you need to upgrade before July. You can't be vulnerable, and let's talk upgrading today. You want to identify vulnerabilities in your network. We can give you a free network assessment, so if you have concerns, please let us know. Employ sound internet and email best practices to mitigate risk. And don't forget, we're here to help, but we need you to be proactive. And remember, safe. Stop, analyze, forward, or escalate. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.